Nerdmigos.
This is a bonus episode of Nerdmigos.
We came, we saw, we kicked its ass.
Geek news and commentary.
Impressive. Most impressive.
With Ismael, Alejandro, Moreno, Ozuna, and guests.
Do you mind telling me what this is all about, mister?
I don't know. I'm making this up as I go. Fool of a took. Tanto llamando a Blue Demon. Tanto llamando a Blue Demon.
Now, it's time for your friendly neighborhood Nerdmigos.
Excellent.
Welcome to Nerdonia.
All right, let's go. Hey, what's up, nerds? Welcome back to the show. My name is Ismael Alejandro Moreno Ozuna. My friends call me Isma. And you're listening to a bonus episode of Nerdmigos for May the 5th, 2025. Happy Cinco de Mayo, Mexas! Hope you're doing great. Hope you're having a fun. Hope you're having a great week. Thanks for listening. And if you haven't done so already, please subscribe to Nerdmigos on your podcatcher of choice. We really appreciate all your support. And if this is the first time listening to Nerdmigos, well, let me tell you that this is a show where we get together to talk about geek stuff, all the good stuff we love, movies, TV shows, comics, video games, all those reasons to live. And also, let me tell you that our regular weekly show is in Spanish, or unapologetically in Spanglish. But sometimes we do these bonus shows to chat with other friends and guests in English. So that means that, fortunately, I'm not alone. It's always a pleasure to have guests on the show. So, my friends, let me introduce you to our guest for this episode. He's an author, martial artist, and host of the Latino Slant. Welcome to the show, Paulie, the Latino Slant.
Hey, Isma, feliz Cinco de Mayo. Battle of Puebla, 1862. Yeah. Vámonos.
Vámonos.
It's too bad, man, we didn't get rid of those French all the way, you know what I'm saying? But at least we got pan dulce.
Oh, yeah. Ooh la la.
Ooh la la. Those damn French, they keep just, dogging the Mexicans, man. From 1862, this is a good way, Cinco de Mayo, to celebrate the fact that Emilia Perez crashed and burned during the war season. So, here's to France right there.
Hey, man, well, thanks for being here. How's it going? How are you doing? How was your week?
Man, you know what? Every day is just different and exciting, and you just trying to stay present with everything that I do. So I can't complain. And gracias a Dios, our family's healthy today.
Yeah,
man.
Yeah, thanks. Thank God.
And it's great to be and guest.
Oh yeah.
What's up?
I'm glad you're here. And I would like our listeners to know you a little bit. So let's start with the Latino Slant. What is the Latino Slant and who is it for?
Yeah, it is a YouTube channel and website that covers kind of achievement and spotlighting and celebrating Latinos in the entertainment business, whether it's movies, film, art, theater, music. We try to cover as much as we can, and then we try to give a critical eye to those productions that you see, whether they're from Latin America or the States. We don't just give productions and stuff like that free pass just because they're Latino. It's important to all right, it's an achievement. Now we gotta take it through the coals.
All right.
But it kind of just I had done a iteration of it many years ago when I was still living in Texas for a minute.
Oh, okay.
As a vlog, back then they're called vlogs.
Yeah.
I don't know what.
Yeah.
And so I just brought back the name and the logo during COVID
Oh, okay.
because we were just on lockdown. And I was like, you know what? I know people. Let me interview people and and start doing stuff for in 2020. So here we are, with a current iteration of the slant and going into our 5th full year. Just
Wow.
yeah, yeah.
Awesome.
We just celebrated 5 years on YouTube, and really, that's kind of like the modern, like the current the current run. And so the goal is I want to keep this growing to where we're helping produce independent film. So you know I know that we're taking the proper steps towards getting there, and
Mhm.
it's already kind of happening with meeting people, connecting them with other people, and talking about what's a project we can do together. Because I don't just want to critique films and other creatives. It's
Yeah.
like, we need to do the same thing as well.
Oh yeah. And
Yeah,
speaking,
man.
by the way, you're doing a great job in the Latino slant. And speaking of that, you're also a storyteller. And I want our audience to know about your novella, which came out
Mhm.
last year. Could you please introduce our audience to the story and world of They Call Me Charleston?
Well, yeah, if you're watching this and you can see the poster right over my shoulder, which is
Mhm.
one of the female lead character, even though this novella, she's not the lead. Later on in a different book, she will be, but it is called They Call Me Charleston, and
Mhm.
it is I would say, a 30-page, at this point, novella
Mhm.
that we self-published. And I'm holding it up
Yeah.
for those that can't see. I'm holding up my printed little novella. So the long end of it, if I had to pitch it, it is Lord of the Rings meets Mesoamerican modern superheroes.
Awesome.
That's really it, man. Because I'm such a huge Lord of the Rings fan, the books and the
Mhm.
movies, and what Tolkien did with creating their own mythos. I'm just like, you know what? We need to do the same thing. And so I've been working on these characters in this world, this universe, for 20 years.
Okay.
For 20 years. So I have other books related to the characters that are in here.
Oh.
What's funny is that this iteration, this particular story, is about 5 years old.
Okay.
So I started scribbling around 2019, but yeah, 2019, I'd written half of it, and then when the lockdown happened, I got to finish this.
Yes.
And then we started, connecting it with. I had an editor. I worked with her. She was an award-winning playwright. She still is. She, award-winning playwright. She gave me great notes. She gave me great guidance. And then I got together with James Esparza, who did the AI artwork on this.
Oh, okay.
And there's a couple of images in the book, right,
Mm-hmm.
of the main characters. So that was a great practice. He also helped me put the layout and the format together.
Okay.
Like everything we did, we kind of just stumbled and did it ourselves in the dark, man.
Yeah.
We were like, okay, here's the layout, here's what it's going to cost. Then we got an estimate from bookbaby.com. Here's their costs. This is what it includes. And I'm like, okay, we can do this. We need to raise so much money. So we raised the money on Indiegogo a
Mm-hmm.
few years ago with our supporters on the YouTube channel. And we've sold over 200 copies now.
Wow.
And so I'm really proud of this first one. So much so that anytime I see maybe something that's kind of similar in theme,
Mm-hmm.
like Sinners. I just recently saw
Oh
Sinners
yeah,
twice.
I saw it. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. I mean, they could totally live in the same universe.
Oh, okay, nice.
It got me going to I need to finish book 2.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, really the story in this first one, the narrator is a man named Charleston,
Mm-hmm.
and he basically tells you the world that he inhabits and what his job is. He's a healer, so he can heal without touch. So if he's close to you and you allow him, meaning that you just stay close to him,
Okay.
he can heal everything from physical maladies to emotional to connecting you back to your spirit. The longer he's there, that's one of his powers. And we kind of designated different powers to different people. What's fun here is that, like Familia, they're all related,
Okay.
the good guys and the bad guys.
Oh.
And like Familia, they love and they can hate each other.
Okay,
And
that's
like
interesting.
and like yeah, and then like and then like with Raza, it's like they hold grudges. So I kind of throw all that in there. It's set all over the Southwest. I messed around with a couple of the Mesoamerican gods
Mm-hmm.
and kind of gave them a new that kind of the Lord of the Rings thing comes back,
Yeah.
where we talk about the trials you got to get to the underworld. Some characters go on that journey. Then I created a new mythic land where once you cross over, you start your training at this particular god's quote unquote school, sort of like Professor X, right? It's like sacred lands.
Okay.
And again, he takes this god, his name's Bravo, and his picture is in there. He in the story, he's in the backdrop
Mm-hmm.
of the story. He's like in the background. You hear and talk about him, but Charleston is literally going, the action of this particular novella, he's going to assess this girl and her
Mm-hmm.
powers. Is she ready to cross over?
Okay.
And without giving out too much, there's a great twist that happens at the end of this where we go to the next story. But that's it. And he kind of describes he describes as many characters in this world that he's connected to. So the Bravo character, his book I wrote like 15 years ago.
Wow.
I just kind of put it away.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm basing him off of like he's like a half Toltec, half Aztec, Chicano that was born in in Buckeye, Arizona.
Okay.
Which is a very desert, dusty town. Not near the border, but kind of not like not like Yuma or Nogales.
Mm-hmm.
But there's just this connection that I'm trying to have with all the cousins. So yeah, that's
Hey, it sounds fantastic. And
Yeah.
it's great that you have more stories, and you mentioned book 2. But
Yeah.
and what's next for this project? Are you thinking of other media, maybe an audiobook?
Well, we have the audio.
Oh yeah.
So when the Indiegogo happened, there's 3 levels you can get. You get the book, you get the book and poster, and then the highest level you get the book, poster, and an audio
Oh, cool.
that I produced here. So me and my girlfriend, who's actress Romy Diaz,
Mm-hmm.
we just read it, and it's a decent MP3,
Mm-hmm.
and so we gave that to everyone as our gift.
Oh, nice.
But now that is up now on our YouTube channel.
Oh, great. That's great.
Yeah. So, but what's funny is what we're thinking and talking with James Esparza is taking maybe a scene or two
Mm-hmm.
and doing an AI short film,
Oh, okay. That's interesting.
because the technology's there. I'm just want to kind of like mess around with
Yeah,
it.
you want to play with the
Yeah,
AI
because
tools.
yeah, in particular, like things I just probably I probably can't afford to recreate a mythic land that I created in my head,
Yeah.
and so I'm toying around with that idea, but then also too writing and finishing the next story, which which will take place in Yuma with other characters. And it's gonna be very musical.
Okay.
It's gonna be we're connecting it with some regional kind of corrido and ballad music from like 100 years ago.
Oh, nice.
to kind of made up scenarios. So it's in this book. We make up the scenario that Emiliano Zapata never died. He was never assassinated.
Mm-hmm.
It was publicly he was, but the deal was, look, you're doing too much good. The other side of, the other side of the, as far as, the dark cousins, they don't, we have to keep a balance. So you got to go chill, and you can't do anything. You're going to be sequestered. So this book too is Emilio waking up in the 1990s.
Oh,
I know. It's really bizarre. It's really bizarre. And he takes it. The gist of it is he's going to take care of a woman who's been convalescing.
Mm-hmm.
One of the other things I wanted to do was kind of take people in our society that we discard.
Okay.
Elderly,
Yes.
disabled people, homeless people.
Yeah.
We just kind of like, we feel for them, but we kind of just discard them.
Mm-hmm.
Unless we're like working in those fields. So Charleston, the guy, the lead character I told you about, he's a homeless person.
Okay.
In our reality, he's homeless. And that Clark Kent guys, he's able to go and do what he can do.
Oh, okay.
Because if he was just like, hey, I'm a superhero, the bad people just come and they would just be battles all the time. So his Clark Kent is that he's a homeless, stinky guy who's riding the trains and the buses for free. In the next one, his cousin has been a vegetable for many years, and she's about to wake up.
Okay.
And Zapata's there. It's really trippy.
Nice.
Like I really wanted to go with these different, with some historical figures, like because of what led them to do so much good in different ways too, because we also talk about music
Mm-hmm.
in this book, and then we go back to Sinners, right? And that preacher boy, the character in Sinners, with his music could call other enlightened souls, good and bad, to his music,
future and past.
Yeah. And I'm like, oh my God, that's the world that I've created.
Yeah.
My next step was that a musical act put together of these beings can actually create, for lack of better words, like laser blasts, mathematical forms that can kill you when they play together.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
So that's their superpowers. Well, and of course we're adding in there someone that plays a badass accordion that can just take out hordes. You better watch it, because they'll blast a mean ass corrido. But I wanted to connect it to that connective culture that me and you share.
Yeah.
Right? Because the accordion's so powerful, the mariachi is so powerful, the whatever singer is. So I'm like, wouldn't it be a blast if these guys had superhero powers when they played? So I created that in here with jazz, but this band could play anything, right? So with Sinners, their thing was blues, which was like like the cradle of modern time and rock and roll.
Yeah.
The Hot Five, these guys, and for lack of better words, they're raza. They play everything, right? From corrido to blues to rock to cumbia. It's just whatever time they're in, because they do time jump. Hey, they're the house band. House bands can play anything, dog.
That's true.
So we're having fun with that too, man. You know, for it being only 30 pages, there's a lot. It's a lot in here.
Yeah, that's awesome. And congratulations on putting your story out there. That's awesome. And where can people buy the book?
Yeah, man. We'll give you the link. Bookbaby.com is the best way to get it. You can get it. You can order either a print on demand, and they'll print it up, and it'll be in your hands in like less than 2 weeks, or ebook.
All right.
Yeah, and I both the base price is $9.99, but then you pay extra for shipping, and it comes out to maybe $15 total. It's so easy to get. Again, it's really nice to see people like every couple of weeks they'll check the sales and they'll say, oh, another person's bought it, another person bought it.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So it's really cool. It's really awesome.
Yeah, awesome. Well, congratulations. And
you're a creator,
Oh, yeah.
your imagination, and then putting it on paper. You're just a different discipline, but it's all the same thing, man.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
I was really recently. I listened to Robert Rodriguez on Joe Rogan.
Oh, I saw parts of it. Yeah, it's really cool.
I listened to the whole thing, brother. And again, it was so inspiring. Like Sinners, like Kugler, like it's just inspiring where you get re-inspired. You're like, yes, you're speaking my language. And you forget just how many amazing things he did, but the stuff he created with the green screen innovation and digital innovation with Sin City.
Yeah.
I highly recommend anyone that's a creator to listen to that conversation, man.
Yeah, that was a great episode. Robert Rodriguez on Rogan. And I wanted to ask you if you have anything coming up, anything on your calendar that you would like to plug?
That we would like to plug. Well, we'd like to plug our website and then our main page on YouTube, because we're always interviewing writers, directors, and actors that are in the business. So look out for it's called our celebrity interviews. That's on the main page on our YouTube channel. We got everyone from Edward James Olmos, Danny Trejo, to new creators, Alejandro Montoya Marin from Mexico, Maria Molino from Mexico. They're predominantly in English. They're English interviews.
Yeah.
But they're fascinating because they're telling you their journey.
Oh yeah.
As far as what did you do? What did it take for you to do Adama in Battlestar Galactica? All those conversations. So I'm very proud of those interviews. Very proud of those interviews. And then with our website, we give you the latest movie reviews with Rosa Parra, our film critic.
Oh yeah.
And and then we try to keep our finger on the pulse of who's the latest Latino doing something in the business. So yeah.
Awesome. And I know you cover geek stuff on the Latino Slant, but I wanted to ask you, are you like the biggest fan of something in particular? If you could pick one, for example, I'm a Star Wars fan. I can say my fandom is Star Wars. I can also say Ghostbusters. So my heart is split. My heart is split in two. It's a half Ghostbusters, half Star Wars. But how about you? What's your fandom?
Those are good ones, man. Those are great ones. I mean, I think Star Wars is my OG fandom.
Okay.
Like when I was 7, I saw it in the theater, and the love affair began. Now the love affair lately has been tested.
Yeah.
But my friends, they always buy me, like stuff for my birthday. Like I got this really cool kind of like artistic thing of the stormtrooper heads.
Yeah, I love stormtroopers.
So that is one. I think ones that have affected my creativity. The X-Files and Lord of the Rings,
Oh, nice. Okay.
because there's a, in this universe I created, there's a screenplay I wrote in regard there's in this universe, and I draw heavily from X-Files. I'm telling you, man, this stuff is pretty old that I've written over the last
Yeah.
decades, because I was really taken away with the Lone Gunman. And so I made my own, iteration, Los Tres,
Gunman.
and it's, just three Latino nerds that
Yeah.
help out the lead guy, get to Miglan. And
Yeah.
it's like, how do you get to Miglan and how do you get back? It's like, oh, well, you got to do this and you got to do that. So that's in there,
Yeah.
that's I'm looking at right here. I'm looking at all my DVD sets of every season of the X-Files.
Uh-huh.
I even have some collectible cards that are unopened.
Cool.
And then my girlfriend, she was at a yard sale recently.
Oh, I have that one.
Look what you found. I have one too,
Yeah.
opened. This one's unopened.
Yeah. So for our listeners, Paulie is
Yes.
holding an episode 1 gift set. It's
It's a widescreen collector's edition of episode 1
in VHS.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have that one. It's great.
Yeah. Video
And,
collector's
and
edition. Yeah.
what's cool about that is that it should include a piece of the film, like a
Yeah,
frame,
the actual-
the frame,
yeah.
frame of it, and it's different
Yeah.
in it's different in every box. It's one of a kind.
So, and then back to, my fandom was so strong. I was so strong with that. Like, I remember in the 90s when they re-released the special editions in theaters.
Yeah.
I bought the opening nights for all 3 of them.
Okay.
And I took my little cousin at the time. He's still my little cousin. He's still alive. But he was a baby. It was like 10 or 12. I don't know. I don't know. And I was in my mid to late 20s. And we went opening night to Star Wars New Hope
Mm-hmm.
and Chinese theater. We got all these goodies, collectibles, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's up there right now, the Luke Skywalker Theater Edition,
Yeah.
Return of the Jedi Theater Edition, right? The
Mhm.
action figure.
Mm-hmm.
And Mark Hamill showed up
Oh,
and just said hello to all of us.
awesome.
I ain't going to remember that Mark Hamill, not the Wokoso Mark Hamill. But yeah, those are strong with me, man. X-Files. It's funny because with X-Files, we're talking about Coogler and Sinners. I know he's gonna reboot
Yeah.
it, and at first I
Yeah.
was very apprehensive, but I'm like, if
But
anyone could do
he's
it,
good. He's really good.
he showed me a lot. And I
Yeah.
said that I was kind of against it, and I said, well, you know what? I need to go see Sinners.
Yeah.
I need to go see Sinners. And because I like Fruitville Station. I liked Creed.
Creed.
The first Black Panther was fine.
Mm-hmm.
I hated Wakanda Forever. But Sinners, it's a masterpiece, man.
Yeah, Sinners is
And it's-
really good.
And it's vampires and it's genre. So I'm like, hey, that's X-Files. Drama,
Mhm.
genre, monsters. Let's see what he could do.
I am curious.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he's a huge nerd. I don't know if you know this, but he's a huge nerd.
Yeah, I think it shows.
It shows. And he's, and he's got his own agenda, his own thing, his own beliefs, but he's very respectful to the audience.
Yes.
If you notice.
Yes.
Extremely.
That's true.
Extremely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
But
true.
yeah, those are I'm just looking around, it's predominantly Star Wars. I saw the Revenge of the Sith twice this past week.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Awesome.
Bro, seeing it on the big screen again. Yeah. Yeah, so that Lord of the Rings, Matrix, I got John Wick action figures. Yeah.
Awesome.
Those are really it. I mean, again, in the ones that have affected me creatively as far as writing,
Mm-hmm.
and storytelling, it's the X-Files and Lord of the Rings. there's certain things, you know, like we talked about Charleston being able to heal, you know, with as long as he's got his hands close to you.
Yes.
You know, those things are like I picked right out of elements of X-Files, elements of Gandalf. Yeah, man.
Yeah, cool.
You know, I don't know what to tell you.
Awesome. So you mentioned Star Wars. You're watching Andor season 2.
I am season 2. Have you checked it out?
Yeah. So before you tell me what you think of season 2, could you please share your thoughts on the Bail Organa recast?
Well, look, I mean, listen, your first reaction is always going to be the knee-jerk one, right? Your emotional one. And then if you're emotionally connected to something and there's a change, I don't like change, don't change it. So, you know, I love Jimmy Smits.
Yeah.
You know, he's done so many great characters. This guy's an Emmy award-winning actor. Did you ever see him in The Believers?
No.
Oh, did you ever see Believers with Martin Sheen?
No, I haven't.
Oh, dude, you'd love that flick. So he's like it's a supernatural.
Okay.
Right? And this is like late 80s, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like a younger Jimmy Smits, and he's a cop, and he's on the trail of the, you know, of these bad dudes. That a lot, those are in my store too. But they drive him nuts. Dude, he's so good. He's not in it a lot, but he's so powerful in that movie. It's called The Believers. Great film, man. Great, like, you know, like a voodoo, you know, that Martin Sheen goes on the hunt for. So yeah. So back to Jimmy. So yeah, you have this connection growing up with him, and then he's been Bail Organa for 23 years, on and off, different iterations, right?
Yeah.
Always solid, but I think he started cementing him with Rogue One, you know, and then with Kenobi.
Yeah.
And you know, Kenobi was pretty bad, you know, but he's just always solid. So they recast it with Benjamin Bratt.
Yeah.
He's another one I love. You know, he's just got a different energy.
Yeah.
Benjamin Bratt, you know, has got that kind of hot head, you know, different type of gravitas from you know, this you know, from Blood In, Blood Out to Short Eyes, and then he can have some levity, but kind of keep a serious tone, even like a Miss Congeniality.
Yeah,
you know, he played a great foil to Sandra Bullock that I don't think Jimmy could have. Jimmy is kind of like, you know, he's rooted more like a mountain.
Yeah.
Whereas, you know, Benjamin Bratt is a surfer. And he literally is a surfer. You know, he grew up surfing. So I love both. It was just so jarring to see that scene. It was like, what?
Yeah.
So what I'm hearing is that the role he's gonna be predominantly in the later half of season 2.
Yeah. At least that's what I've heard, that the third arc, he's gonna cook. That's what I'm hearing.
And you know what? I listen. I would have been really upset if they had casted with, like, you know, not a Latino.
Yeah, which
because I'm like, hey,
which that happened originally. I don't know if you remember, but there's a cut scene from episode 1 with a different actor.
Bail Antilles.
Yeah.
Right?
No, it was Bail Organa.
Well, didn't they change it to Bail Antilles to Bail Organa? I can't remember.
Bail Antilles. I think Bail Antilles was.
There was like a different.
I think that was the captain in the Attentive 4.
Yeah,
I think so. But yeah, there was a Bail Organa.
Phantom Menace, there was a different actor.
Yeah. Yeah, Bail Organa was supposed to show up in The Phantom Menace, and they cut the scene, but it was a different actor, not Latino.
That's funny.
So what I think of, I mean, I like both actors, but what I think of the character Bail Organa, I understand that George Lucas used him as a side character in the prequels. But I also think that George knew that the fans understood how important he was. I think he knew that the fans would fill up the blanks.
Yep.
So I think.
Yeah, even more so because of his connection to Leia, to Princess Leia.
Yeah, and
absolutely.
Yeah, so
and that's where, just to cut in, and that's what I really loved about Jimmy in the little Leia. I don't know why we needed Leia, but I love their scenes because his gravitas as a father was just right on.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. That's what he is important because he is Princess Leia's dad, and revolutionaries are raised by revolutionaries. No, you can't deny your upbringing. So there's that, and then I don't know a lot about the expanded universe, but I know that Bail Organa was one of the founders of the Rebel Alliance in the original expanded universe, the Lucas expanded universe. That I'm not seeing that in the Disney version.
Well, you saw that in is it Clone Wars and Rebels? He makes an appearance. I can't remember his appearances, but he
was in the Bad Batch in the animated series.
Bad Batch, okay.
He was in the Bad Batch, and he was voiced by Phil Lamar.
Okay,
which I love Phil Lamar, but he was doing like a weird accent, he was doing like a generic Latino accent.
Oh, that's funny.
It's funny. But Jimmy didn't play him in animated at least in Rebels. No, not the
I think he did play him in something else, but his look. It was Jimmy's. Jimmy's character cartoon, right? It was
in the Clone Wars that was
right. Yeah. So here's a couple things, right? I don't know. Were you done? I'm sorry.
No, just saying that he is one of the founders of the Rebel Alliance, and he is as important as Mon Mothma. So I think that Bail Organa should have been in Andor since season 1.
That's true.
Yeah,
that's true.
So, the recast. I just think it's unfortunate that Jimmy Smith wasn't available. That's what Tony Gilroy said.
Yeah, I don't buy it.
I don't buy it. He was not available, but
I don't believe it at all.
Me neither.
I think they lowballed Jimmy.
Yeah,
and because Jimmy would have done it in a heartbeat. Yeah. He was saying, no, he was doing his other TV show. That TV show was already done.
Yeah.
He's had nothing on the books since then. So that's, and then you're hearing Jeremy Renner, they lowballed him for season 2 of Hawkeye.
Oh, yeah, I heard that.
It makes total sense because these guys don't have a lot of money, even though they spent so much on Andor, right? That they would lowball, Jimmy, which is, just a huge disrespect. But that being said, I talked to Chris Gore. He's seen the whole entire season already. This is the second season. And he says that Bale's character is amazing. Okay. So I'm like, and he says the first 3 are actually the weakest.
Yeah.
And these last 3 that I just saw, 4 through 6, man, it's like a completely new show.
Yeah. I think when I saw the second arc, what I was thinking while I was watching the second arc was that the first arc now feels disposable. I think that they should have started in the second arc with the Gorman thing.
So let's going back to the Bale thing let's go back to story before we go to the storytelling with Bale. maybe they'll show him how he connects to the resistance, because you're right. He should have been in more. I know Tony probably just was going for, he definitely went for more of the female, in the forefront with Mon Mothma on this tape, which is fine. It's his vision. But storytelling wise, as much as I loved the last 3 episodes, I keep wondering, all this, everything just could have been so condensed into a feature film.
Yeah, that's true.
Like, why isn't this on the big screen? Because it's obviously cinematic. Especially these last 3 episodes feel more Star Wars universe than ever.
Yeah. The world building is impressive.
Yeah.
The production design.
And the characters are great. It's like, why aren't these on the big screen? Because everyone's bringing it. And then Saul Guerra is hilarious.
Yeah. Oh, he's great. Yeah.
He's so nutso, man.
Yeah. Every time we see Saw Gerrera again, he's just a little nuttier. He's more crazy every time we catch up.
And then I was trying to think, okay, at this time, like, where's Jen Erso? Because Jen is under Saul's care, and she's, this is like.
Yeah, I think that was like 10 years ago, something like that. That when she was little, but then they were separated for
yeah. Well, obviously it's all going to lead up to Rogue One, which we all know where it's going, and that's like such a big challenge with storytelling when everyone knows the ending.
Yeah, that's true.
Right?
Yeah.
It's just like, how can you make this different? And that's how I've always given Gilroy that love, because Rogue One, we all know where it's going.
Yeah.
A New Hope.
That's true.
That's probably the best Disney Star Wars film, in my opinion. And then
it is
Andor, in these 2 seasons of Andor, it's like we all know where it's leading up. Andor is gonna die, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, wow, this is pretty amazing storytelling.
Yeah, it is great. What I'm most excited about Andor is the connection with Rogue One. That's what I'm looking forward to.
Yeah,
how it connects to Rogue One. So what I feel.
But you know what? With that, we all know what characters don't make it to Rogue One.
Yes.
And I'm just like,
yeah.
I don't like, Bix is gonna probably meet her end. And besides that controversial moment, I'm loving that she's coming out of it.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, why are they making the Latina go through so much?
Yeah.
I'm like, come on, guys.
Yeah.
And I hope that the end of episode 6, she literally ends the episode 6 with a bang.
Oh yeah, she just needed a little bit of vengeance. She'll be all right.
But then we know, like, well, she ain't gonna make it. Like, I didn't see a Rogue One, and that probably prompts you're seeing also too the Cassian Andor becoming Cassian Andor.
Yeah.
Because you're like, why is he such a ruthless guy in Rogue One, where he kills the homeboy?
Yeah, the first scene. Yeah,
we know.
And I really like Luthen. I think that's a great character. Yeah,
man.
Yeah, he's not gonna make it to Rogue. But he's great. Stellan Skarsgård, he's amazing.
And then his crony, she's great. She's saving his ass. They all, I mean, there's just a lot. There's a lot there's so much world building, and yet from Rogue One who survives and who doesn't.
Yeah.
So it is fascinating to see.
Yeah.
It is fascinating. And then when all is said and done, then you have that with the canon, and that's really cool, man. When it works.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I don't really worry a lot of. I'm not too precious of Star Wars lore because the way I see it, um, I do separate George Lucas's Star Wars from Disney Star Wars. But for me, it's a very clear separation. Um, so when I am. When I look at Disney Star Wars, it's like listening to a cover band. It's like a cover band of my favorite band of all time. So you can enjoy that cover band or tribute band. Some covers will be good, some covers will be not so good.
Yeah,
but
I see what you're
you know,
saying.
it's not the real thing, right? So that's the way I see it. So if for Andor. I think it's an excellent show. It's a great show. Everything is excellent. The acting, the production. It's well written, well planned. You can see the money in every shot.
Beautiful to look at.
It's an amazing show, but it needs more Star Wars.
I totally agree, and I finally felt that in this last episode.
Yeah,
which was episode 6 we're talking about.
Yeah,
that I'm like, you know what? This is Star Wars. You know, you got the caper, like, you know, you got the Empire, you got the rebels, you know, the pacing, and then everyone had something going on, you know. It was really, really well done. Yeah, I mean, I agree with you on the most part, especially when it's done decent, you know. Mando first 2 seasons,
those are great.
Luke Skywalker. But the problem with the films is that they deconstructed our heroes.
Yeah.
And their demise was awful.
Yeah.
So, you know, that's not even a cover band. That's like you know, someone going in and, you know, ripping it off your drum kit, man.
Yeah, that's true. So when I say more Star Wars, I mean myth. So because George Lucas's intention was to recreate myth.
Yes.
So if you're not intentionally trying to recreate myth, or if you're trying, or if you're intentionally trying to stay away from it, you're doing it wrong. So I do want to see that at least, and also. I want to see more aliens. Andor needs more Star Wars aliens, and also I wish they didn't use so many things that look too earthly. For instance, in the second arc, you have the French the French Revolution, the La Resistance characters.
I mean, it was Planet. I mean, we're going. I guess we're ending with France again. Planet Francesia, man.
It was too on the nose.
Yeah.
So it was embarrassing because they're using French actors. All of these were French actors. They were speaking a modified French language, and they're wearing French berets. Like very French.
It was Planet France.
Yeah, it was Planet France. It was too on the nose.
We're talking about Gorman.
So it screamed not Star Wars.
What it should have been is it's an iteration of that.
Yeah.
Then it would have been cool, right? But you can't have people speaking French in this movie.
Yeah.
And in Star Wars, it's just too. To just have them speak English, and they're I don't know. I agree with you. It was, but then you start going down the rabbit hole. Why are all these people? Why do some people have British accents and some people don't?
That's true.
Just like
and Andor has a Mexican accent.
Then I was thinking about that. It's like, well, Diego has his Mexican accent. And hey, man, he's really bringing it. He's gotten really good.
Yeah,
because I don't like Diego's work in English so much.
Yeah, I'm happy for him.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
he's representing, and Adria Arjona is. Just...
Oh yeah, Adria Arjona too.
Yeah, awesome. Man. We'll see how it ends, man. I'm actually now more invested in the next 6 episodes than I've ever been. So I'm
Yeah,
just like, wow,
it
okay.
should be good. It should get better.
Mhm,
Yeah.
mhm.
Well, before we run out of time, I wanted to ask you something about Mexican movies and TV shows. So, I'm going to give you the context first, and then I'm going to give you some stats, and then I'm going to ask you a question. Okay. So,
Okay. Ooh.
This
Let me
is
drink another cup of coffee.
yeah. Sorry. So this is a context. I haven't. I'm pretty sure you have seen more Mexican movies and TV shows than I have, like in the last 20 years. I'm pretty sure because I kind of stopped watching Mexican movies and TV shows. So it's not a complete divorce. I do have some movies that I can mention that are like the best, some of the best movies, Mexican movies I've seen. But the reason I stopped watching Mexican movies and TV shows is because I believe that Mexican movies and TV paint a skewed portrayal of Mexican culture to an extent. Because most stories in Mexican movies and TV come from a small group of creators concentrated in places like Mexico City, the Mexico City metropolitan area, or more recently, regional hubs like Guadalajara and Monterrey. Okay, so what I was seeing was just a bunch of stories set in Mexico City. And even if they were not set there, even if they were set outside of Mexico City, they were still made by someone from Mexico City, from their perspective, right?
Okay.
So I noticed that bias, and I got really bored. I got really bored of seeing those same stories. I started to question where are the other voices? Where are the other stories in Mexico?
Yep.
So here are some stats. And this is the most obvious. There are 133 million Mexicans living in Mexico. That's 133 million Mexicans living in Mexico. Okay. Most of us are not Chilangos.
Chilangos, guys, for those in Slantinos listening, are people that are born and bred or living in Mexico City.
Yeah. So just to be clear,
different animal. It's like a New Yorker.
Yeah, like a New Yorker. So just to be clear, approximately 83.5% of Mexican residents live outside of the Mexico City metropolitan area. Okay, so that's 83.5. Okay, so the next estimates, these are not hard numbers. These are just guesses. These are just estimates.
Okay.
But here's the first one. From 70 to 80% of Mexican movies and TV shows are made by filmmakers or writers living in or strongly tied to the Mexico City metropolitan area. Okay, so either by origin or career bias. Although regional hubs like Guadalajara and Monterrey, they do contribute significantly.
Yeah, that's like really recent.
But that's more recent. Okay, here's another estimate. Roughly 50 to 60% of Mexican productions might be set outside of Mexico City. I thought it was less, but it's more like half. From 50 to 60% of Mexican productions might be set outside of Mexico City, the stories, right? Okay, and the next estimate is about positive versus negative representation. Okay, so of those, of the 50 to 60% of stories set outside of Mexico City, 40 to 50%, like almost half, 40 to 50% have it's a negative representation. So they're really focused. These are like crime heavy stories, like
Sure.
narco tales set in Tijuana
Anything
and
that has to do
Sinaloa.
with drugs and
Yeah.
crime. Mhm.
Yeah. So that's from 40 to 50%. Then from 30 to 40%, those are positive. So that they focus more on the cultural celebration and other places like Oaxaca, Yucatan. And from 10 to 20%, that's mixed or neutral. So it's a more balanced or ambiguous storytelling, unbiased. Okay. So what global audiences and even Mexicans are getting is a curated version of Mexicanness. So think of the slang. The slang you're seeing is Mexico City slang. The humor is Chilango humor. All the cartel cliches. It's not the full mosaic, right? So, Paulie, I wanted to ask you, as someone who spotlights Latino entertainment, how do Mexican movies and TV look from your perspective?
Well, the export that that gets imported here, whether it's on a whether it's television, well, let's just say streaming, Netflix, that type of stuff, majority of it is connected to crime.
Yeah.
Right?
Because
even
crime sells.
Right, crime sells. Even when it's told from the story of, the Federales, what is it? Contraataque that just came out. And I was talking to the director for a minute. And because I really like that flick, because it's like the first time you're seeing, the good guys shown, like Tom Cruise, hero type, you know what I'm saying? And that, the narcos are pieces of shit. Very simple, good and bad.
Yeah.
Great flick, man. It's a great flick. I hadn't seen something like that come out of Mexico, because all you're getting is the Narcos Mexico, even was it Cell 21 with Diego Calva, where it's what is prison gangs taking over, and it's very well done. Don't get me wrong, it's still entertaining, but it's more of that, like you said. The ones that are more artistic, you have to dig for in film festivals, right? That maybe they get a streaming deal. Very rare that they get distributed. So then the filmmakers are very chilango, right? And then they stop doing quote unquote Latino films.
Okay.
And they're working with the Brad Pitts, and they're
yeah.
doing, mainstream movies, which I think is great. I mean,
that's right.
Iñárritu's doing a film with Tom Cruise. But those three men, for the last 25 years, have dictated, Mexican directors in Hollywood. Now you have Isa Lopez, who cracked it with I Loved Her, Tigers Are Not Afraid film. So I see that. So, and I really get that a very few, a minority, I really understand that, how they dictate culture of a people. The Latinos in Hollywood, which are pretty much Latinxers, they dictate a lot of our stories on this side from their very small peak hole, like this, where we're this, and it's like, it's okay, representation matters, but does it really if the presentation is terrible and gets canceled?
Oh yeah.
Or like, who remembers anything that these people have done? Because a lot of what they've done is forgettable or got canceled. So there's so many battles there.
Yeah.
I think what you're seeing with some of these filmmakers now is they're kind of creating their own distribution, their own production, their own pipeline. And it's kind of interesting. And it's Latino, it's not just Mexican. So let me give you the example of Mucho Mas Media. And you got a different Latinos that have put this production company together. They also created a distribution hub, and they have done movies that are from The Long Game with Dennis Quaid to the Jenny Rivera biopic that was on VIX. I haven't seen that one. I know that was filmed in Colombia, I believe.
Okay.
And then they have Rosario coming out to Cinco de Mayo weekend, and that's getting a big push. And that is a Mexican actress.
That's horror, right? That's a horror.
Yeah, it's horror. Colombian director, and she looks like she could be the next Salma Hayek, and she's beautiful. Emerald Tubia, something like that. And Mucho Mas Media, now they have a deal with Sony. They're going to redo La Bamba.
Oh,
so I see that as a huge success because they have they have different genre movies, different means of distribution, from very small independent to working with Sony. I find that way more connected to different stories than what Netflix or what the Hollywood is doing.
Yeah.
Because it just tends to be, first of all, the big three we talked about, they hardly work with Latino actors. Guillermo del Toro has Frankenstein coming out, and you got Oscar Isaac in it. It was great.
Yeah.
So I love everything they do. I'm not gonna like knock them down. But as far as Mexican cinema, what was the last great Mexican film?
Yeah.
To kind of like
for me it was La Ley de Herodes.
Oh man, you know what? I can't believe we haven't talked about Luis Estrada. I've been connected with him for a minute. We should talk about him.
Yeah.
We should. That's a whole nother.
That's another episode.
Maybe we'll bring you on because
yeah,
I love La Ley de Herodes. I mean, that is just a masterpiece.
Yeah.
And El Infierno. Que Viva Mexico, I think was good, but it definitely could have used an edit. But he always has such strong vision. So, and he didn't take the Hollywood bait. He stayed in Mexico.
Yeah.
So yeah, I agree. That's a good one. And Y Tu Mamá también.
Yeah. Have you seen Matando Cabos?
Yes.
Yeah,
yes.
I love that one too. Yeah.
But look at, what was that 25 years ago?
20 years ago.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a long time ago, man.
Yeah.
And a lot of these films that I'm seeing, they're just so like, plastic. Like even when they I've liked, I've liked a couple of the stuff that Memo has done. He's Memo Vargas, is that his name? The kind of comedian type of actor.
I don't know him.
Oh man, he's pretty funny. He had a Spanish sitcom called Harina.
Harina, okay.
Yeah, and it's 2 seasons and it's on Prime. It's all in Spanish, but he's the loser cop. think Reno 911, but like Chilango style.
Okay.
And he's just a total fuck up. Like he's hilarious, bro. And those actors work together a lot.
Yeah, it sounds familiar. Yeah, I might have seen a clip online.
Yeah, and it's got that like kind of like that cinema feeling that it's half documentary, but it's not.
Oh, okay.
So that was excellent, and he's been in some popular films. And then some films we reviewed that went to VIX where, you know, it was pretty lame, but he's always like bringing something.
Mm-hmm.
He was in a movie with Adriana Barraza last year. Adriana Barraza, where the train tracks in, like a Spanish, you know, it's Mexican.
Okay.
And that was a very sweet story. So it kind of is in that 10% you're talking about.
Yeah.
You know, because that's about, you know, teaching these kids, you know, education, imagination.
Mm-hmm.
And then what was yeah, and then there's Eugenio Derbez, and that movie was The Teacher
Okay.
a couple years ago.
Yeah, I haven't watched that.
So it's almost like coming out of Mexico, it's either like drugs or carteles or, you know, you know, an illegal coming here and, you know, trying to do good, or, you know, victimhood, trauma,
Mm-hmm.
or you know, let's teach the kids not to be in gangs.
Yeah.
Let's show them a way.
Yeah,
And,
but so it sounds like independent is the way, right?
Yeah.
Independent filmmaking,
Totally.
independent
Totally.
production.
Absolutely, brother. Yeah.
All right.
And,
well,
yeah.
yeah. Sorry, you want to say something else?
No, like, again, I would say go back to our Slant interviews. We talked to some of these Mexican and Latino executive producers and directors.
Mm-hmm.
There's a great conversation I had with Sergio Pisolante, and we keep talking to each other. He's from Latin America, but he executive produced Zorro, that was on Prime.
Mm-hmm.
International cast, Mexican actress, Spanish dude. That was a kick-ass show, man. And he's trying to get a second season.
That's great.
And I'm like, it's like, dude, they did Zorro really well to where it ended up with Zorro on the rooftops of New York City, 1850s. You know, it was like he was flexing like Batman. I was like, whoa.
That's
Yeah,
awesome.
yeah. So that's it, man. It's been a great conversation, man. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Well, let's wrap this up. I hope you had fun, and it was great having you here. Now, before we go, please tell our audience what's the best way to find you online.
Yep, TheLatinoSlant.com and Latino Slant on YouTube.
Awesome.
Come on by. Thank you so much, Isma.
Awesome. Well, thanks for being here. Thanks for stopping by. It was great talking to you.
All right. Take care, guys.
All right.
Que viva Mexico.
All right. And now time. Viva Mexico. Feliz Cinco de Mayo. And time to hit that old dusty trail. All right. That was Nerdmigos. Thanks for listening to this bonus episode. These are the end credits. And if this episode was not enough for you, if you need more Nerdmigos in your lives, please visit our website, nerdmigos.com, for everything related to Nerdmigos, not just Nerdmigos, the podcast. You're also going to find Nerdmigos, the webcomic. That's a collection of Nerdmigos comics. And you're also going to find our store, La Tienda Nerdmigos. That is our merch store, and that it's still the best way to support what we do here in Nerdmigos. So tell your grandma to give you an advance on your Christmas present, on your birthday present. Help your abuelita look for some spare change under the cushions of her couch. Get those 3 lucky numbers, those 3 magic numbers on the back of your abuelita's credit card. And a shout out to your abuelita for sponsoring this episode of Nerdmigos. We also want to invite you to join the conversation on social media. Look for our handle, Nerdmigos, everywhere online. We're on Facebook, we're on Twitter, we're on BLUESKY, we're on Instagram, we have a YouTube channel, we're on TikTok. We have a Facebook group called Welcome to Nerdonia. Join the community there. And we're on Patreon, patreon.com/Nerdmigos. Once again, we want to thank our guest, Paulie the Latino Slant. It was a great conversation. It was great having him as a guest for the first time. And we thank him for being here. All right, so it's time to say goodbye. I'm Isma from Nerdmigos. And from all of us here in Nerdmigos, to all of you out there in Nerdonia, have an excellent week. Happy Cinco de Mayo. Peace out, homies.